What up, YouTube? It's your boy I Fit In. And man, you guys will not believe what Keith Thurman said. Keith Thurman promises and or vows to dominate Errol, the true Spence Jr., and Terrence Bud Crawford. Now, when I hear a statement like that, I think to myself, boxers are usually known for selling fights because at the end of the day, it's two guys getting in the ring together and only one of them will come out the champion unless they draw, which is very unlikely. It's very rare, should I say. So, after his defeat to Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, it kind of makes me wonder, what is it that he sees in Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence that he can dominate? Now, keep in mind, Keith Thurman has a much smaller reach than Errol Spence and a shorter reach than Terrence Crawford. Maybe not as short compared to Errol Spence as to Terrence Crawford, but shorter nonetheless. He had a longer reach than Manny Pacquiao. That did not help him. The only thing that Manny Pacquiao has that Errol Spence does not have is awkward angles. But Errol Spence has a significantly longer reach. He's much stronger than Manny Pacquiao. And his work rate has actually surpassed Manny Pacquiao's work rate. And keep in mind, Manny Pacquiao's work rate was way too much for Keith Thurman. He was on his back foot the entire fight. And he hit Manny Pacquiao with some very hard flush right hands. And Manny Pacquiao still kept coming forward. So if he couldn't keep an aged, close to retired Manny Pacquiao off of him, how in the world is he going to keep a young, hungry lion like Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford off of him? Errol Spence, he's definitely a technical boxer. He definitely has a high IQ, but his style is the bully, come forward style because he could pick you apart and he can bulldoze you. He could do either one he wants. So he couldn't, Keith Thurman couldn't slow down Manny Pacquiao, and he couldn't take what Manny Pacquiao dealt him. And keep in mind, Manny Pacquiao hurt him with a body shot. That's Errol Spence's specialty. Not only that, Manny Pacquiao is southpaw. Terrence Crawford is a switch fighter. He can go orthodox or southpaw. Not only that, Terrence Crawford also can fight and tag you from awkward angles just like Manny Pacquiao can. So, whenever I hear Keith Thurman say he vows to dominate them, especially in the midst of everything that's happening, the fights that are happening, Sean Porter and Errol Spence both got Fight of the Year. Errol Spence has been ordered to fight Danny Garcia next by the WBC. And these are two guys that, Keith Thurman has fought before and actually beat. And Terrence Crawford is set to fight Kell Brook next. And this is confirmed by Bob Arum. So, again, when I hear Keith Thurman say something like he vows to dominate Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, it sounds like in the midst of all this commotion that's going on and all these fights getting made, he's shouting out, wait, don't forget about me. The man wants to be in the mix. He wants a paycheck because surely he can't believe that he's still the best after being crumbled by Manny Pacquiao. And odds are Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence both would beat Manny Pacquiao. This is something that most, boxing fans can see from a mile away. So again, what would motivate Keith Thurman to make a statement like this? He got beat by an older fighter, and if he fights Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, he'll be the older fighter. I mean, aside from everything that happened between him and Manny Pacquiao, that Josecito Lopez fight exposed a lot. You know, Josecito Lopez also hurt him with a body shot. Hurt him up top, too. What do you think Errol Spence is going to do to you? Especially Errol Spence being the taller fighter, the bigger fighter, the stronger fighter, the faster fighter. You know, the longer fighter, the younger fighter. He's definitely got a higher IQ. So what is it that Keith Thurman is seeing? I'll tell you what I see. I see opportunity. I see opportunity to stay relevant, opportunity to make another big paycheck, because last time he made a promise that he was going to do something, he got destroyed by Manny Pacquiao. His fight with Sean Porter, it was close. His fight with Danny Garcia, it was close. Yes, Errol Spence had a close fight with Sean Porter, but, you know, he dropped him. He distanced himself when he dropped him. He hurt him. Point blank, period. Keith Thurman wasn't able to hurt Sean Porter. Sean Porter honestly could have fought him the next day and probably would have won. I guarantee you, Sean Porter was less worn out by that fight with him and Keith Thurman than Keith Thurman was. I'm willing to put money on that. So again, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about, Keith Thurman? As a matter of fact, he's been very inactive. He hasn't fought since the Manny Pacquiao fight. So Keith Thurman struggled with Josecito Lopez and got crumbled by Manny Pacquiao whenever he came back from a large amount of time with no activity. Now he's claiming that he's going to fight two fighters of higher caliber after a large amount of time with no activity and dominate the two of them? Are you kidding me? Is this something that Keith Thurman truly believes? I don't think it is. I think he's simply trying to gain a paycheck, guys. This is one of the oldest tactics in the book. Fighters are known to do this. Fighters are known to do this. Adrian Broner was the master of it. He talked a big game before every fight. And yes, the majority of his fights, he did back it up. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure a fighter can already sense another fighter's aura. You can tell when somebody's hungrier than you. You can tell when somebody wants something more than you do. Now, Manny Pacquiao being the quieter fighter, it probably didn't look that way in the press conferences. But, you know, Manny Pacquiao's just a humble giant in boxing. But Keith Thurman can't be serious, because if he really wanted to fight Errol Spence, he would have fought him a long time ago. Errol Spence has been calling these guys out for the longest. So there's obviously an ulterior motive here, guys. I seriously doubt that Keith Thurman has any confidence in even beating Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, let alone dominating either one of them, especially after all this inactivity. You know, why don't you go fight Josecito Lopez again and see how that turns out for you? Better yet, why don't you try your darndest to get a rematch with Manny Pacquiao and you know, get beat in a less dominant fashion than you got beat the last time? You know, like come on, guys. Like if anybody has any hope in Keith Thurman, there it is, and Keith Thurman beating Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford in a dominable fashion, you guys are casuals. And in the famous words of Roger Mayweather, y'all don't know shit about boxing. But hey, if you got a contrasting opinion from mine, please hit the comment box.